I returned early from my work trip, caught my mother-in-law selling all my furniture online and pocketing the money. Hey lovelies. Subscribe if you enjoy stories like this, and let us know in the comments where you're joining us from. Now let's continue with the story. I stood in my driveway at 2 p.m. on a Thursday, 3 days earlier than planned. The pharmaceutical conference had been cut short due to a speaker emergency, and honestly I was grateful. 5 days away from my daughter Imani felt like 5 months. My husband Jared was deployed overseas, making me a temporary single parent to our 4-year-old. The house looked normal from outside. Jared's truck sat in the garage where his mother, Diane, had been staying to help with Imani while I traveled. I'd been hesitant about the arrangement. Diane and I had a complicated relationship, but Jared had insisted. "She's changed, Eileen. She wants to be there for us," he'd said over video chat from his base. I grabbed my suitcase and walked toward the front door, already imagining Imani's face when she saw me. The conference had paid well, a $3,000 speaker fee that I'd mentally earmarked for Imani's college fund. My pharmaceutical sales career was finally stable after years of struggle. The door was unlocked. Strange. Diane was paranoid about security. I stepped inside and froze. My living room was empty. Not cluttered empty. Actually empty. The sectional sofa Jared and I had saved for 2 years to buy. Gone. The coffee table my grandmother had refinished by hand. Vanished. The vintage armchair I'd found at an estate sale. Disappeared. Even the lamps were missing. My heart hammered against my ribs. Diane. My voice cracked. Imani. Footsteps thundered from upstairs. Diane appeared at the landing, her face draining of color. "Eileen. You're not supposed to be home until Sunday. Where is my furniture?" She descended slowly, deliberately. "We need to talk." Diane reached the bottom step, smoothing her blouse with trembling hands. Something about her posture, too practiced, too prepared, made my stomach turn. This wasn't shock. This was someone caught mid-scheme. "Where's Imani?" I demanded again, my voice sharper. "At my sister Beverly's. She's fine." Diane's tone shifted to something I'd heard before, that saccharine reasonableness she used when trying to manipulate Jared. "Eileen, honey, sit down. Let me explain." "Explain what?" "Where is my furniture?" "I sold some pieces." She said it like she'd donated old clothes to Goodwill. "You had too much stuff anyway." The house felt cluttered. My vision actually blurred. "You sold my furniture?" "My furniture. Technically it's Jared's house too, and as his mother." "As his mother what?" I stepped closer. "You have zero authority here, Diane. Where is everything?" She pulled out her phone, scrolling with infuriating casualness. "I listed items on Facebook Marketplace. That sofa went for $400. Good deal actually. The buyer said it was worth twice that. $400. We'd paid $2,800 for that sectional." "The coffee table?" "My grandmother's table. The one she'd stripped and stained herself before she passed. $75. Some college kid needed furniture. $75. For an irreplaceable heirloom. I want names. I want every single buyer's information. Now." Diane's expression shifted, a flash of something cold and calculating. "That's going to be difficult. I deleted most conversations after transactions completed. To keep my phone storage clear." He was lying. I could see it in how her left eye twitched, the same tell Jared had warned me about years ago. "What did you do with the money?" Her silence was deafening. "Diane, what did you do with my money?" She turned away, busying herself with adjusting a picture frame on the wall. Except there was no picture frame there anymore. She'd sold that too. Her hand grasped at empty air before she realized, dropping it quickly. "I needed it," she finally said. "Gerald left me with nothing when he moved out. Nothing. Do you know what it's like to be 62 and broke?" Gerald. Her boyfriend of 8 months. This was about a man. "You stole from your son's family because your boyfriend left?" My voice was dangerously quiet now. "I didn't steal. I borrowed. I was going to pay you back after my disability check came through." "Your disability check is $943 a month. How much did you take?" Her jaw tightened. "Around $4,000. The room tilted. $4,000? $4,000. That sofa, the tables, your dining set, the bedroom furniture from the guest room, some electronics. You sold our guest bedroom? The room Jared had carefully furnished for when his army buddies visited. The bed frame his late father had made. It was just sitting there unused. Get out. The words came from somewhere primal. Get out of my house right now. Eileen, be reasonable. You stole from us while my husband is deployed, sold his dead father's handmade furniture, and pocketed the money for your broke boyfriend situation? I was shaking now. Where is Imani's toy chest? The one Jared built. Her silence answered everything. You sold my daughter's toy chest? Tears burned my eyes, but I wouldn't let them fall. Not in front of her. I pushed past Diane and ran upstairs, my heart jackhammering. Imani's room. Please let Imani's room be intact. I threw open the door. The white dresser with hand-painted butterflies. Gone. The bookshelf Jared had assembled the day we brought her home from the hospital. Vanished. The rocking chair where I'd nursed her through countless midnight feedings. Sold. Her toddler bed remained, but it sat bare and lonely in the middle of the stripped room. Even the curtains were gone. You absolute monster. I turned to find Diane in the doorway. You sold my baby's furniture? She's outgrowing that stuff anyway. Kids don't need so much. Don't you dare tell me what my daughter needs. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands. I'm calling Jared. Right now. He's on a mission. You can't reach him. Diane's voice carried a smugness that made me want to scream. He was right. Jared was on a 3-week communications blackout. I'd have to handle this alone. I opened my banking app instead, checking our joint account. My speaker fee from the conference, $3000, had been deposited yesterday. But the balance showed only $247. Did you take money from our bank account too? You left your debit card in the kitchen drawer. I thought you forgot it intentionally, like a gift. A gift? Who thinks a forgotten debit card is a gift? I scrolled through the transactions. Cash withdrawals. $500 at a time. 6 of them. She'd systematically drained our account while I was across the country talking about pharmaceutical innovations, believing my daughter was safe with family. I need that money back, Diane. Every single penny. I descended the stairs slowly, each step calculated. I'd learned long ago not to let rage make me sloppy. I don't have it anymore. She'd positioned herself by the front door, planning her escape. Then you'll get it. Sell your jewelry, your car, I don't care. But you'll return what you stole. Stole is a strong word. You stole from your son's family. My voice echoed through the empty house. While he's serving his country, you came into his home and robbed him. I raised that boy alone after his father died. I sacrificed everything. He owes me. He owes you nothing. You made choices. Those were your responsibilities as a parent. Diane's face contorted with rage. You never appreciated what I did for this family. Always so high and mighty with your fancy pharmaceutical job, your perfect little life. Perfect. I laughed bitterly. My husband is deployed in a combat zone. I'm raising our daughter alone. I work 60-hour weeks to keep us afloat. And you just sold the life we've built because your boyfriend dumped you. Gerald didn't dump me. It was mutual. I don't care about Gerald. I care that you violated our trust, our home, our family. She grabbed her purse. I'm leaving. We'll discuss this when you're calmer. We'll discuss this with the police. That stopped her. You wouldn't. Watch me. I held up my phone. Theft. Fraud. Elder abuse laws don't protect you when you're the abuser. Jared is military. There are federal protections for service members' families. Her face went pale. You'd send Jared's mother to jail? You'd steal from Jared's wife and daughter? Diane's hand hovered over the doorknob. I'm family. You can't do this. Family doesn't steal. I opened my laptop on the kitchen counter. One of the few things she apparently couldn't sell. I'm documenting everything. Every missing item. Every transaction. I started a spreadsheet, my fingers flying across the keyboard. Living room sectional. $2,800 original cost. Sold for $400. Grandmother's coffee table. Priceless. Sold for $75. Each entry felt like cataloging a death. Some of those prices are inflated, Diane protested weakly. You didn't pay that much. I have receipts for everything. Jared and I keep financial records. I pulled up our shared cloud storage. Here. Sofa purchased May 2023, $2,847.99 after tax. Want to see the guest bed frame? Can't put a price on that. His father made it by hand before he died of cancer. But the wood alone cost $600. Diane sank into the one remaining kitchen chair. Eileen, please. I made a mistake. I panicked. Gerald cleaned out our joint account and I had nothing. I wasn't thinking clearly. You thought clearly enough to systematically sell our belongings while I was gone. You deleted buyer conversations. You drained our bank account in increments small enough not to trigger alerts. This was calculated. I'm begging you. Did my grandmother's table beg you to spare it? Did Imani's toy chest? My phone buzzed. A text from Beverly, Diane's sister. Imani's asking for you. Everything okay? Everything was not okay. I called Beverly immediately. Hey Eileen, Beverly answered cheerfully. Imani's having fun, but she wants to know when mommy's coming. Beverly, I need you to keep Imani tonight. Maybe tomorrow. Things are complicated here. Beverly's tone shifted instantly. What did Diane do? The question not if but what, told me everything. Beverly knew her sister's patterns. She sold our furniture. Took money from our account. Thousands of dollars. My voice cracked. Jared's father's bed frame. My grandmother's table. Imani's things. Oh Eileen. Oh no. Beverly's sigh carried years of disappointment. I'm so sorry. This isn't the first time. What do you mean? Can you put me on speaker? Diane needs to hear this too. I switched to speaker mode. You're on. Diane, I love you, but I'm done covering for you. Beverly's voice hardened. Eileen, 3 years ago, Diane did something similar to our brother Thomas. Stayed at his place while he recovered from surgery. Sold his coin collection worth about $12,000. Told him it was stolen. Thomas believed her until she got drunk at Christmas and confessed. Diane's face went ashen. Beverly, don't. Thomas didn't press charges because Mama begged him. Made him feel guilty. She's your sister. Family forgives. Well, Mama's gone now and I'm tired of watching you destroy relationships for quick cash. There's more. I asked. Jared doesn't know, but yes. When he was deployed in 2021, Diane borrowed his truck. Totaled it. Told him someone stole it from a parking lot. Insurance paid out, but she kept the check. Said she was holding it safely for him. Jared's truck. The mysterious accident he'd mourned for months. He loved that truck, I whispered. I know. I'm sorry I didn't tell you before. I hoped she'd changed. Diane stood abruptly. You've always been jealous of me. Sit down, I snapped. Beverly, can you document what you just told me? Written statement. I'll email it within the hour, Beverly promised. Eileen, keep Imani as long as you need. She's safe here. And I'm sorry. I should have warned you. After we hung up, the house felt suffocatingly empty. Just me, Diane, and the skeletons of rooms she'd gutted. You took his truck money too, I said quietly. The one thing from before deployment that made him smile in photos. He got a newer truck. He's fine. Something inside me snapped. He's not fine. He cried on video chat about that truck. Said it reminded him of his dad teaching him to drive. And you stole it. I needed. Stop saying you needed it. The scream tore from my throat. We all need things. I need my husband home. Imani needs her father. You know what I needed? To trust that my family was safe while I worked to provide for them. I grabbed my laptop, opening my email. I'm contacting every furniture buyer. I'm offering to buy everything back at double what you sold it for. That's stupid. You'll lose money. I don't care about money. I whirled on her. That coffee table held my grandmother's hands. The last thing she made before dementia took her mind. Imani's toy chest has her baby footprints painted inside. Jared did that when she was 3 months old. These aren't things. They're our lives. Diane's face crumpled. I didn't know the stories. You never told me. I shouldn't have to. You don't sell what isn't yours regardless of sentimental value. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered anyway. Hello, is this Eileen? I bought a coffee table from a Diane yesterday. My daughter just told me it has an inscription underneath. Made with love for my girls. Ma'am, I think this might be important to you. I gripped the phone like a lifeline. Yes. Yes, that's my grandmother's table. She made it before she passed. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. The woman's voice was warm, maternal. Diane seemed eager to sell. She accepted my $75 offer immediately. I thought it was too easy. My gut said something was wrong. Can I buy it back? I'll pay whatever you want. Honey, you can have it back for free. I'm a grandmother too. I'd be devastated if someone sold my grandbaby's heirlooms. She provided her address. Come by any time today. After she hung up, I turned to Diane. See that? A complete stranger has more integrity than you. I spent the next 3 hours tracking down buyers through Facebook Marketplace archives. Diane had used her account, and though she deleted conversations, the platform kept transaction records. I found 7 of the 12 buyers. The college kid who bought the coffee table for $75 was mortified. Lady, I'm so sorry. Your mother-in-law said she was downsizing after her husband died. I thought I was helping an elderly widow. She manipulated you. It's not your fault. One by one, strangers showed me more compassion than my mother-in-law ever had. A young couple returned the guest bed frame, disassembled in their garage because they'd sensed something off about the sale. An elderly man drove 40 minutes to return the dining chairs, refusing reimbursement. My son's in the army too, he said, tears in his eyes. Somebody steals from a service member's family, that's lower than low. You give your husband my thanks. By evening, I'd recovered about 60% of our furniture. The sectional was gone, already moved to another state by buyers who wouldn't respond to messages. Some items had been resold by flippers who'd recognized their value. But the irreplaceable pieces, grandmother's table, the bed frame, Imani's toy chest, were coming home. Diane sat motionless in the kitchen as I made calls, coordinated pickups, and documented everything. She'd stopped defending herself after the 5th buyer expressed disgust at her deception. Around 8 p.m. my phone rang. Jared. Somehow he'd gotten access to communication. Eileen? Baby, what's wrong? Mom sent me a weird text saying there was an emergency. Of course she had. Playing victim. Your mother sold our furniture while I was at the conference. Took money from our account. About $7,000 total. Silence. Then, what? I explained everything. The sectional. His father's bed frame. The bank withdrawals. Beverly's revelations about his truck. With each detail, I heard his breathing change. That specific pattern when Jared was trying not to explode. Put her on the phone. Jared. No. Please. I handed Diane the phone. Your son wants to talk. She took it with shaking hands. Jared, honey, I can explain. I couldn't hear his words, but his tone carried through the speaker. Clipped. The voice he used with subordinates who'd violated trust. Diane's face cycled through emotions. Defensive, pleading, resigned, devastated. Yes. I understand. No, I don't have it. Jared, please, I'm your mother. Whatever he said next made her flinch. Hey. Yes. I'll do that. She hung up, barely breathing. He wants me out tonight. And he's pressing charges. Good. How can you be so cruel? I'm family. You as family. Past tense. You chose money over us. I took back my phone. Pack your things. You have 1 hour. She climbed the stairs slowly, defeated. I didn't feel victorious. Just exhausted and hollow. Jared called back. I'm so sorry, Eileen. I thought she'd changed. I really believed. I know, baby. I know. 3 days later, the house was partially refurnished. Good people, strangers, had returned what they could. The living room looked Frankensteinish with mismatched temporary furniture from my cousin Shanice, who'd driven 6 hours with a U-Haul after hearing what happened. Girl, I told you Diane was shady, Shanice said, helping me arrange a borrowed couch. Remember at the wedding when she tried to charge guests for parking? I thought Jared was exaggerating. I sank onto the couch. I wanted to believe people could change. Some people do. Diane just changes tactics. Jared had filed a police report from overseas. Theft by deception, fraud, exploitation of military family. The prosecutor was interested, especially after Beverly's statement arrived detailing Diane's pattern of financial abuse. Apparently, stealing from service members' families while they're deployed carried enhanced penalties. Imani came home that afternoon. Beverly brought her, along with 3 bags of groceries and a casserole. Mama. Imani launched herself at me. Auntie Bev said we're having an adventure. Are we decorating? I held her tight, breathing in her baby shampoo smell. Yeah, baby. We're making the house beautiful again. She noticed the empty spaces. Where's my butterfly dresser? Grandma Diane had to take some furniture. But Daddy and I will get you new things. I'd tell her the truth someday, age appropriately. But at 4, she deserved protection from adult ugliness. That night, after Imani fell asleep, I sat in the semi-empty living room and finally let myself cry. Not for the furniture, though losing grandmother's table hurt, but for the betrayal. For Jared, who'd trusted his mother. For Imani, who'd lost innocence she didn't even know she had. My phone buzzed. Text from Jared, I love you. We'll get through this. The legal process moved faster than expected. Diane's pattern of behavior, Thomas's coins, Jared's truck insurance, now our furniture, painted a clear picture. The prosecutor offered a plea deal: restitution, probation, mandatory counseling. Diane fought it initially, hired a lawyer who argued she'd had implied permission as family. That argument collapsed when Jared provided documentation. Texts explicitly stating she could stay temporarily to watch Imani, nothing about managing property or finances. 6 weeks after I'd walked into my empty house, Diane stood in court and pled guilty to theft and fraud. The judge, a veteran herself, was unimpressed with the "but I'm his mother" defense. You exploited your son's service and your daughter-in-law's trust, the judge said coldly. This court sees elderly financial abuse cases regularly. It's disturbing to see the reverse. You're 62 years old. Old enough to know better. Restitution, $7,340. Probation, 2 years. Community service, 200 hours. And a no-contact order regarding our home and finances. Diane's lawyer negotiated a payment plan, $200 monthly from her disability check. It would take 3 years to repay us fully. 3 years of regular reminders that she'd chosen greed over family. I hope you're happy, Diane hissed at me outside the courtroom. You destroyed my relationship with my son. You did that yourself, I said calmly. Every choice was yours. Jared got emergency leave and came home for 2 weeks. He spent the first day just holding Imani, crying quietly into her hair. The second day he drove to every furniture store in town, determined to replace what his mother had stolen. I should have known, he kept saying. The truck, the weird money requests over the years. I ignored the signs. Months passed. The house filled again, new furniture, new memories. Jared's army buddies came for Thanksgiving, sleeping on the new guest bed Jared built himself, determined to create something his mother couldn't taint. We didn't talk about Diane much. The wound was too fresh. Then February came. Valentine's Day morning specifically. I was making Imani pancakes when my phone rang. Beverly. It's Diane. He had a stroke. She's at County General. The next hours blurred. Hospital corridors. Doctors with careful faces. Beverly weeping. And Diane, small and pale in a hospital bed, unable to speak, the left side of her face drooping. The stroke was massive, the doctor explained. She'll need extensive care. Rehab, possibly a nursing facility. Jared stood frozen by the door. I can't. But I saw it in his eyes. Despite everything, she was still his mother. The woman who'd raised him alone, who'd worked 3 jobs after his father died. The woman who'd also stolen from us, betrayed us, chosen herself repeatedly. We'll figure it out, I whispered, taking his hand. Over the following weeks we helped coordinate Diane's care. Not in our home, that boundary remained. But we visited, helped Beverly navigate insurance, researched facilities. Diane couldn't speak, but her eyes tracked us, aware. Sometimes they filled with tears. One afternoon, alone in her room while Jared took Beverly for coffee, Diane grabbed my hand. She couldn't form words, but she pressed something into my palm, a crumpled piece of paper. I unfolded it. Shaky handwriting, clearly written before the stroke. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Forgive me. I folded it carefully and put it in my pocket. Forgiveness wasn't a switch. It was a process. Maybe someday. Jared returned, carrying flowers. He placed them on Diane's bedside table and kissed her forehead. Hey, Mom. As we drove home, Imani asleep in the back seat, Jared said quietly, "Life's too short for hate." "I know," I said. "But it's also too short for allowing abuse. Can it be both?" I thought about grandmother's table back in our living room. The invisible inscription underneath, "Made with love for my girls." A reminder that love can coexist with boundaries, that forgiveness doesn't require forgetting. "Yeah," I finally said. "It can be both." But when Diane died 3 months later, a second stroke, quick and final, I felt relief mixed with profound sadness. Relief that the cycle had ended. Sadness for what could have been if she'd just chosen differently. At the funeral, Jared wept for the mother he'd wished she was, not the one she'd been. I held him, and later I held Imani, who didn't understand why Daddy was so sad. "Grandma Diane is in heaven," I told her. "Is she nice now?" Imani asked. I didn't know how to answer. So I said, "I hope so, baby. I really hope so." We rebuilt our lives, stronger and more cautious. The furniture was just stuff, replaceable. But trust, once broken, stays cracked. We learned to live with the cracks, to make peace with imperfect relationships and unresolved pain. That's the thing about family trauma. It doesn't end cleanly. It echoes. But you learn to create new sounds loud enough to drown out the echoes. You learn that survival isn't about perfect endings. It's about choosing every single day to build something better than what was broken. And sometimes, on quiet evenings, I sit at grandmother's table and trace the inscription with my fingers, reminding myself, love doesn't mean accepting harm. It means protecting what matters even when the threat comes from family. Especially then. Looking back, maybe I should have seen this coming and handled it better from the start. But in the moment, this felt like my only option. What would you have done differently?